Okay, I'm in my studio working and I have to change some copper earrings for silver for a lady, and I thought I'd take this opportunity not to show off my work but to show the different styles that are available of how you can do this, but two, the process. On this one you can see quite clearly around the perimeter is a silver border. Too much to look at. Come on, camera. There we go. So there's the silver, and then you can see there's the silver 11s, and then the blues coming out around the back are the 15s. And again on the front, there we go, now you can see it. And all I've done to decorate this tiny little earring, that's my pinky, so it's really small, is come around the edge and done a following zigzag. Here's another very clear example. As you can tell, there is actually a silvery white that's around the border, and then the purple is holding the back and the front. I love this fluorite. And then all I've done again is picked, once I finished enclosing the bead, used a needle and thread and come in, picked up a side bead, put on a bicone and 3 clears all the way around the edge, and then hooked into the back on its own and made a little clasp. And all that is doing, it's holding the chains what it's doing, but the process is 3 beads across, go in, go back. And I always really reinforce my thread over and over and over on any hoop that holds a stone, because if you pay for that stone, you do not want to lose it just because of a broken bead. Now, in regards to the thickness that I was referring to on certain bezels, this one is a rose quartz that I made, and as you can tell very clearly, they're your 11s in the grey, and there are 4 rows of them, which they call 5 rows, but anyway, we won't get into that. And then your size 11 are holding it from the top, and a row of them at the, actually 2 rows at the back. And again, to hold your chain over and over, 3 beads. That part just hooks into your, oops, that's moving, hooks into the sewing that you've done around the edge. Focus. Okay, now I'm going to give an example of different shapes. This pattern came for a young girl in Russia, and she told me any problems I ever had, write to her, show her step by step. I brought the pattern for equivalent of 11 Australian dollars, and she was marvellous. I did get stuck. It is a complicated little pattern, but it's the same as you've got 11s around the edge and 15s holding it in. But hers was quite intricate on doing the corners to try and maintain your square. There and there. But I had one lady rush past who liked a red pair, and they were done in 24 karat gold. She brought them $75 on the spot. Probably didn't cover my hours of creating them, but that's okay. Now on the same prospect of doing your side beads one size and your back beads another, this is an example of how elaborate you can go. This is my rhodonite from Tamworth that I cut up and created. There, that gives you a better view. Now, as you can see, all I've done simply on the back is come across to hold it really into play, because this bezel edge was just very simplified. And then see how on the front, not only I used bicones, but I used my 15s here. So I've used a row of 15s to hold it at the front, but then I used bicones with my 15s to decorate it, but still bringing it in. And the reason why they're very stiff is because there's probably about 20 rows of cotton through that to hold on. And again, to show you the different colours, and not different colours, but different shapes. I'll give you a better view. This one has the 11s around the side and the 15s on the front and on the back. And I have gone extra long. There's 4 rows on the back to make sure it's really held in tight, because being a heart, whilst I have been able to go in, sorry, let's tidy up all her frills so she can show off her colours. You still have to make sure, even though it's a heart, that it really holds it in place. And that's why, hence, you pull your thread tight, but not too tight. And you just, well, I just, for reinforcement, did those ones over a couple of times with my thread, just to be sure, And again, to hold the chain, did I use 3? No, 5 rows. 5 rows, reinforced, back and forth. And I've actually worn that one, but don't tell my potential customers because they like it unused. Okay, so now in regards to, I showed you the stones that were attached to material. This is those. So that actually is a piece of leather on the back. Now, soutache, as I was trying to quickly show you, is you glue the stone onto the cloth. You use thread, soutache thread, around the edges, like so, and then decorate. And as you can see in here, I've used a little tennis bracelet piece to sew onto the material and then bead it around the edges, and then again little loops at the end. That's just 3 beads brought back in, and it gives a frill. 3 seeds up the top, 3 seed beads up the top in a row, nice and strong. And then the actual original, zoom in, the original material, as you can see straight underneath there, was white, and then I sewed a piece of leather on the back to give it strength. That is not going anywhere. And as you can tell, this is another one with green leather. I actually had an artist look at that at the market day. She said she'd come back to me. But anyway, it was actually a really good market day. So here are some really good examples of thick bezels on your cabochon. So nothing is impossible. Again, this Amazonite, it's got 1 strand around the center, and then I've brought it in at the back, and 1 row around the front. Fiddly to hold into place while I sewed it. That is not skew-whiffed, it's just moved. The stones tend to move, and that's okay. They will never come out. I will never be able to come out unless, this Amazonite will never be able to come out unless I break 3 layers of strands in each row. They're reinforced. I don't want anyone coming back and complaining. And again, like I said, any shape. I'll put this down so you can see the intricate pattern at the back. And all it is one row in the center to hold it. And then I brought the 15s around the back and enclosed them to create like a cage. And it's the same on the front, as you can see, and very, very stiff connection. And that's, I think that's actually a modern, yeah, silver backing is a modern Swarovski. These are no longer made. Gold backing, vintage. And you can actually see on the back of this one the 11 beads around the edge and the 15 beads in the center. And then all I've done is picked up those 11, brought the thread out, picked up a 15, a bicon and a 15 and gone around the edge. But it's very pretty. And that's, again, antique. I know a lady in Melbourne who was selling some old antique Swarovskis. And apparently the gold was only produced from the 1920s to the late 1960s. And then they went to a silver backing. Okay. Now, I should be really packing those away back in my cupboard, but I always like to play and have a look at them again before I say goodbye, as I am to this little piece, which I made about a year ago. And tomorrow it goes to its forever home. Well, I think it's a Christmas present. That market I did on Friday was actually the best market I have done in a long time. I don't like doing markets because of thieving and other opportunities for other people, so I like secure ones. And this was at my local learning centre. Anyway, au revoir.